The NBA, the NFL, the NHL, and you name any other major league sport that involves a team, they all usually have one main thing in common. And what is that? A coach. A coach is a position in sports that constantly is undergoing a change, and it's one that's very crucial in the success of a team. Whether it was starting off as an assistant somewhere or being a player themselves, we've seen throughout the years tons of coaches in the NBA, the NFL, and many other leagues come and go. Here are 5 names you're about to hear. In the comments section, tell me if you know any of them. I'd be surprised if you don't. Tom Thibodeau, Nick Nurse, Mike Budenholzer, Eric Spoelstra, and even good old Greg Popovich. All 5 of these guys were either Coach of the Years at one point in their career, or even an NBA champion during their coaching career as well. Now, this isn't the only thing that they have in common. Some of the most coveted coaches in the NBA today, including those 5 that I just mentioned, all have one thing in common. And what is that thing that you ask? That thing is being an assistant coach. What is up, YouTube? Welcome to the first official episode of the Savior of Sports, and today we're going to go over 2 assistant coaches in the NBA right now that, in my opinion, are very under the radar, and I think teams should potentially interview to become their next head coach. Now, don't worry, this will be a 2-part series, so this first one won't be super long. Now, both of these guys have worked with each other before, and they also have similar connections throughout their NBA coaching career. And to start off, let's talk about the one that has a couple rings now, which is the one, the only, a defensive mastermind and one of the assistant coaches for the Golden State Warriors, Mr. Ron Adams. Ron Adams is one of those coveted names anyone would love to have a part of their coaching staff. Everywhere Ron has gone, from the Bulls to the Warriors, he's made a significant impact. Let's forget about that mediocre 2013-2014 Boston Celtics team he was a part of in between all of that, because we know that team was in rebuild mode and sucking on purpose for draft picks, especially once we probably saw one of the smartest of trades of all time, in which the Celtics trade away their stars Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to the Brooklyn Nets for, take a deep breath guys, Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, Keith Bogans, Marshawn Brooks, Chris Joseph, and here's the dinger, 3 unprotected first-round picks. Wow, good job, Mr. Danny Ainge. Anyways, back to Ron Adams. You look at Ron's tenure during his time as an assistant coach with the Bulls for Tom Thibodeau. It was definitely a great one. Ron helped make that Bulls team have the best record in the league 2 years in a row. And now I know Tibbs probably had a huge part of it as well, but in my personal opinion, Ron Adams helped mold players like Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, Todd Gibson, and Jimmy Butler into the defensive players they are known today. And of course, this is all during their prime, guys. Oh yeah, you know how I said the Bulls had the best record in the league 2 years in a row? Let's also add that they were top 2 in defense both those years as well. If you don't think Ron made an impact, take a look at how Tibbs did in Minnesota and how the Bulls slowly started to fluctuate with success after he was no longer alongside Tom Thibodeau on the Bulls. Tons of people that thought Tom Thibodeau was one of the best coaches in the league started to ding him a ton after that tenure in Minnesota. Now, with all that Ron Adams did for the Bulls after that 2012-2013 season, they decided not to re-sign him. Bulls fans, I know you're not happy about this. Neither was Tibbs or Ron himself. Ron called his departure from the Bulls mystifying and hurtful, which I'm not surprised with how that front office was. Now, other than that Derrick Rose injury in the playoffs, this to me was a sign of things to come. That once Ron was gone, that Bulls team was just on borrowed time before it started to split things up. Let's fast forward now to 2 years later. It's the 2014-2015 season. Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors asked Ron Adams to join their coaching staff. And what happens? Oh yeah, you know, Ron Adams just helping out another coach get the best record in the league. And even top of that, what happens? You know, him just winning an NBA championship with first-year coach Steve Kerr and making another team that he is a part of the #1 defense in the league. The year after, what happens? Forget about the best record in the league. This Warriors team that Ron Adams is now a part of has the best record in NBA history, while still being top 5 in defense. Crazy, right? It's time to sound like a broken record. 2016-2017 season comes around, and yep, another NBA championship with the Warriors, and that Warriors team with the 2nd best defense in the league. Ron just doing what he does, making his team constantly the top in defense. 2017-2018 season, but Ron Adams getting a third ring and still being within the top 12 in defense in the league. And last but not least, the 2018-2019 season, in which Ron was a part of the Warriors team that was pretty banged up with injuries, but still helped coach Steve Kerr still somehow get the third best record in the league. Unfortunately for Ron Adams and Steve Kerr, this time they lost to the Raptors in the finals. Now keep this time in NBA history stored in your minds, because we'll be going back to it again in the near future, specifically with this Raptors team. We won't talk too much about this 2019-2020 season because we clearly know the Warriors are tanking with all the key injuries they have on that team. Now I recently read an article in the New York Times, and there was something that really stuck out for me regarding Ron Adams. Adams was in his mid-60s when Kerr, the Warriors head coach, hired him away from the Boston Celtics, where he was the lead assistant coach. What Kerr wanted was a venerable wise man, someone who had coached for decades but had no real desire to be promoted, someone who would thus be free to speak his mind, like Tex Winter, who was Phil Jackson's assistant in the 1990s when Kerr starred on the Chicago Bulls championship-winning teams. Now sit back and think about that. Those 1990 Bulls, which are probably one of the best, if not the best teams of all time, that Steve Kerr was also a part of, and he's comparing Ron Adams to someone in that iconic coaching staff in the great Tex Winter. If you don't know who Tex is, do a quick Google search. In my eyes, he's one of the best assistant coaches of all time, is in the Hall of Fame, and not only won championships with Phil Jackson on the Bulls, but he also won a couple during Phil's time with the Lakers as well. Now think about that for a second though. An assistant coach who helped Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Kobe, and Shaq, and now Ron Adams is being compared to him. I'd say that's pretty dang high praise if you tell me. Now, Steve Kerr's words weren't enough. Look at this statement from another reporter from the New York Times that I read. Today on a supremely tight-knit team, he's like a reverend grandfather, wise and beloved, confident enough to let himself be ribbed for his age, still stern and sharp enough to command respect and set a high bar. Kerr has discovered that Adams' truth-telling doesn't show itself in dramatic confrontation, but in the steady grind of the day-to-day. Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson laud Adams for holding them accountable. You could have contested that shot. You could have made that guy miss. You've got to use that length of yours. Verticality, verticality, Durant says, mimicking the way Adams bends his ear. Just from that statement, you can see why Adams has always been known to have good player-coach relationships, which is probably why he's so coveted. Shoot, he's been so coveted that another Western Conference team tried to pry him away from the Warriors. And who was that? Yes, the good old Los Angeles Lakers. Those Lakers definitely know good assistant coaches when they see them. First off, I want to give a shout out to Steve Kerr for letting Ron Adams being interviewed for that Lakers position. I've seen plenty of teams lately not give permission at all for some of their staff members to be interviewed for a position elsewhere, because they try every way possible to retain them, a la the Toronto Raptors with Bobby Webster this season. Ron's a huge part of our staff, and we've grown very close, Kerr said. Beyond basketball, I look forward to seeing Ron every day and just talking about life. Now, luckily for the Warriors, instead of being a part of the Anthony Davis-LeBron James duo in LA, Coach Adams decided to return back to the place he won his 3 rings in, which is staying with the Golden State Warriors. Now the sad part. Now unfortunately the only thing that keeps me from thinking Ron will ever have a chance of being a coach in the NBA is his age. Ron's around 72 years old at the time I'm making this video, and on top of that, he's already given up his defensive coordinator role to focus on scouting opponents, fostering relationships with young players, and helping stabilize a team that is in transition. It makes me think he might be coming near the end of his NBA coaching career, even though he's only been an assistant. Let me know. I'd like to know your opinions in the comments box down below. Do you think Ron Adams is too old for a coaching role? Do you think he deserves it? Then while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and smack that bell icon to be notified about new videos. Stay tuned, because this was just part 1. The next episode is that second person that is currently an assistant coach that I also think should be a coach in the NBA someday. Someone who I truly think deserves a shot at an NBA coaching position and also has a lot of success in his name. If you guys had to take a guess, who do you guys think it is? I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, if or when we reach 1,000 subs, I plan on doing a giveaway for a jersey or some kind of gift of the winner's choosing. So go ahead and share this video and bring on over your mom, your dad, your granny, your grandpa, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your brother, your sister, and whoever else you can think of. Until next time, this has been an episode of the Savier of Sports. Peace.